Hey guys, it's Michelle and I'm back for another week of Profit School, P School, Pippin School, whatever you want to call it. We are talking this week about making the competition a non-issue using purpose, passion, and personality. I know this is a big, promise for 1 week of free Profit School, but I'm telling you, this is the beginning of what will make the biggest difference in your business if you just follow it through. So really excited to get started. This is actually a critical training. It's all about really creating a category of one and eliminating this whole scenario of feeling like you've got to outprice the competition or you've got to do weird things to beat the competition in your industry or in your area or whatever. So I'm really excited about this. We're going to uncover, discover, and then begin to package. We're not going to fully package, but we're going to begin to package your secret sauce, effectively creating a category of one where you eliminate the struggle of and actually the unpleasant scenario of competing with your competition, like battling it out to make sure that someone picks you. And as a side note, as a woman, and I know I'm speaking largely to women right now, I feel a bit like battling it out with the competition, at the bottom of your funnel, fighting for scraps and all of that stuff, reducing your fees, figuring out what the bonus is, pressuring people to work with you. While they're saying I'm just not really sure I'm that into you, right? So I might go over here, but maybe I'll decide on you a little bit later on. It is a bit like fighting for a man, right? There's something in me that kind of equates those two, like fighting for the affections of a man. And I can tell you that if there's a man that is, worthy of you, then he will never have you fighting for his affections, right? The truth is, I'm just not going to do that. If someone, even in a business sense, is saying, I'm not really sure I'm that into you, right? Then I'm really going to walk away. In fact, I just had one, someone recently, and it ended up in a good conversation because this is a person who used to be a client of mine way back in the day. And I invited her to Women Who Wow, and I didn't hear back. And so I said, hey, have you made a decision? And she said, not yet. And I'm thinking, I said, okay, let's take it off the table for now, right? I'm just not that girl to wait around and hope you pick me, right? And the truth is, there's some personal things going on. It led to a great discussion. And it really should be a not yet, actually, for her. And so anyway, but that's just kind of a side note, right? I have no desire to battle it out with competitors and hope that I do enough or look good enough or whatever that somebody picks me at the end. And I'm feeling like such a hypocrite right now as I say that, because that's exactly what the Bachelor show is. The Bachelorette show, and I do watch it. I hate to say this, my guilty pleasure, and my daughter Shelby and I watch that, and we're super into it. When she goes to college next year, I have no idea how I'm going to watch The Bachelor without her, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. So side note, I'm just not going to battle out with competitors. I'm always going to want to show up in a category of one so that the decision for them is a lot easier, right? So that I'm not being compared. I deliberately price and package, which we'll get into later on, but I deliberately price and package my stuff so it's not a really easy apples to apples comparison with what everybody else is offering. This is very deliberate because I do want to show up in a category of one. So that is the experience that we want in business, right? We don't want the experience of, prostituting ourselves, hoping someone picks us. We want the experience of people who say, that's the one that I want. I want to go all out for her. It's like Michelle or bust, right? That's really what we want. We want our ideal clients to come to us and immediately see that we are what they've been looking for. And so this training will get us going in that direction. I have specific exercises that I want to take you through, and every week of Profit School builds on the last week. So I really want you to stay with this, right? And then we will put it all together into something that truly makes a difference in your bottom line. The first thing I want you to know is that this kind of positioning is absolutely possible. Also, if you're watching this live, or even if you're watching the replay, I will go back and watch the comments. So as we go through exercises, I would love it if you would put a comment in response to some of the questions that I'm asking. So For now, while we're just kicking off, if you could just let me know who's here, let me know maybe where you're from and what business you're in. That would be really, really fun and also helpful. So the first thing you want to know is this kind of positioning where people are absolutely showing up for you. They do believe you've shown up in a category 1. It is absolutely possible for you. It's probable even if you will follow like what I'm laying out in P School. But here's where that kind of positioning is found. It's at the intersection of purpose, which is what you're here to do, what you are born to do, what you're made to do. It's the intersection of purpose, passion, what you love to do, and personality, how you do whatever it is that you do, right? The proper positioning for you is at that intersection. So, hey, Tracy, I think this might be your first time with us. So welcome here, Denver, Colorado. Nonprofit consulting, executive director consulting. Perfect. Great to meet you. So here's the main problem with the intersection of purpose, what you're born to do, passion, what you love to do, and personality, how you do what you do. Here's where here's the problem with that. We often discount these things, right? And I have talked to so many women, thousands of women, tens of thousands of women over my career, and we often say, like, I'm not really sure what I'm born to do, and I'm not even really sure what I love to do. And the reason that we say that is because we've prejudged the things that we know inside. We've prejudged the things that we're drawn to, and we think, I'm not sure I can make a living doing that. And so I'm not going to acknowledge that as part of who I am and part of what my soul wants to get out into the world, right? And so a lot of times I'll say, what do you want, right? If you can tell me what you want in business, if you can specifically tell me what you want, I can most assuredly 100% guaranteed help you get there if you'll do the work, right? But if you don't know, if you're not really willing to go all in and be honest with yourself first, and of course then later with me, if you're a Women Who Wow member, is if you're not willing to be honest with that, then what happens is, you're always kind of muddling around, always kind of fighting for scraps, never being fully who you're meant to be in the marketplace. And so it's no wonder that people aren't magnetized towards you, because you're denying a certain part of what you really want to do. And we do this because we're not sure that we can make a living doing what's really inside of us, right? So we push it down and we pretend we don't know, or we pretend there's a lack of clarity there. There's not a lack of clarity. You're just not willing to admit it because you're afraid you can't make money doing it. And so we're going to get there today. There's specific exercises that I want to walk you through. But I want to talk to you. I made a list of some pretty outrageous ways that people make money. And these are all people that I have personally met or talked to or experienced. So it's not like just I got these off of some list somewhere, right? So some pretty outrageous ways to make money. If you have seen me speak at any of the Women Who Wow events or even on someone else's stage, sometimes I tell this story about the trip to Egypt. It was a $5,000 group trip to Egypt. And that doesn't sound so outrageous, right? Except that the whole multi-day trip to Egypt took place in a conference room in Phoenix, Arizona. These people were paying $5,000 to fly to Arizona, not to Egypt. And in their minds, together, they toured Egypt and like the pyramids and all that, right? This woman filled a room. I happened to be at the hotel where she was hosting this like trip to Egypt. And anyway, so $5,000 a pop. You never made it to Egypt except in your mind. You took a mental journey to Egypt for $5,000 per person. How about the white man who makes nearly $1 million a year teaching on diversity and inclusion, right? That's a fun one. The man who leads women entrepreneurs, literally leads masterminds of women entrepreneurs. And then the one that I really like, and I've kind of started looking at because my daughter loves this book, but it's that author Rupi Kaur, Kaur. She writes poems, right? Like the kind of poems I used to write when I was a kid, right? They're just kind of heartfelt and all of that. They have no business purpose. She's not a therapist. She's not like famous, right? And yet she wrote her first book that was basically a collection of her poems called Milk and Honey. And it was published just in 2014. It sold 2.5 million copies, was translated in 25 languages, and one of the top selling books of all time. Sure, I don't know what her second book did, but it has no commercial purpose except people reading this poetry, right? In a world when everybody's saying nobody reads anymore and all of that. So that is something that I feel like is really an encouraging thing. Like, she just put her heart on paper and started making a lot of money doing it. So, oh, it also spent 77 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. Just a book of poems that were loosely put together. So a couple more things of ways you can make a living. Like, I spoke recently with a professional cuddler who is making about $250,000 a year just cuddling people, supposedly, right? There's a company called Rent a Mourner that provides professional criers for funerals and such things like that. And so whatever you do better than anybody else, wherever your passion lies, I can tell you that you can absolutely make it monetizable. You don't want to count yourself out, at least for the purpose of the next 7 weeks in Profit School. Give yourself over to it. What do you have to lose, right? I talk to this one lady pretty often. She's not making a lot of money doing what she's doing. I'm like, what do you have to lose, right? Like, go all in on what you really love to do. Go all in and see if, test me, right? Like, see if going all in doesn't make you so much more attractive to your target market, because people sense it, right? People sense it. There's an energy to someone who's doing what they're called to do, doing what they love to do, and doing it in a way that nobody else is doing it. So we are going to kind of put aside the doubt, like, I'm not sure if I can really make a living doing that. And we're going to go all in, okay? And I want to teach you cuddlers and criers. Yes, that would be, maybe we can make that our business, cuddlersandcriers.com, right? And some people might want you to cry while you cuddle them. I have no idea, but who knows? The world has gotten a little bit weird, but there's a ton of ways to make money in it. So here I want to get into kind of the content of what we're doing today. So remember, we're focused on purpose, passion, and personality. These are the ways that you will stand out if you are able to package these and make these things visible and palpable to the people that you're talking to. So the first thing we want to do is go inside, and we want to figure out what really is our purpose. What is the why behind what we do? So the two key questions for this is, what is your real why? And I'll give you some examples of this. What is your real why? Why you really want to do what you do? And the truth is, when I first got into business, my why was very, very, hardcore practical, right? I needed to make money to stay home with my kids. That was it. That was all. So the real why behind it was for me to be the kind of mother that I wanted to be, right? I didn't want to outsource these young years. And now, as I've got one kid already gone, one kid going to college in August, and I only have one kid left at home, I'm so grateful that I still have, I have those, all those years, every moment of being with my kids when they were younger. But that's the real why. Today, for Women Who Wow, my why is much bigger than that, much bigger than just my family, certainly much bigger than just what I need to live on financially. But my why really is to empower women through the vehicle of entrepreneurship, but to empower women to be fully empowered and fully expressed. Both of those things, right? Empowered, you can't be fully empowered when you're not empowered financially. That is a unpopular statement. There are a lot of people who consider themselves feminist who are fully financially dependent on a man. And, to be fully empowered, you need to be empowered in every way. And I also feel very compelled to help women be fully expressed, right? To not live in little boxes like, I'm the professional woman now and the sexy woman later and the mom woman. I really want women to be fully expressed in their lives. And so that's the real why. But the first question is, what's your real why? And then the second question, which really leads us into what we're doing next week, but how is this made evident to people on the outside, right? You want your why to live way beyond just like some random mission statement that you put at the bottom of every post or something, right? You want your what you're doing in your business to ooze your why, to like just to express your why, to have it seen in all its different facets. So and we'll go into this a little bit more later today, but go inside and for your purpose. What's your real why? What really do you believe that you're here to do for the world? And also, how can you make that visible? So when I think about my real why, I said it's to help women be fully empowered and fully expressed. And this is something that's always been with me. Like, I remember even being in the fourth grade. I'll never forget it. Fourth grade. Remember, boys back then were kind of awkward around girls. Girls were a lot more mature than boys at that age. And I remember these boys came over, and I had a couple girlfriends over, and the boys got there. They got dropped off, and then they got awkward, and they immediately started like running, right? They started running from us. And like, I'm not going to run after some boy. I'm never, ever going to chase after some boy. It's just not in me, right? So I think even in those early days, I'm like, no, girl, no, don't chase after that. Don't chase after that, right? There's always been something in me as a woman that feels like, we need to stand our ground and be fully empowered the way we were born to be. And so when I think about that story, it's like, man, I think I've always maybe been this kind of woman. But this is different to be part of like Women Who Wow, where my goal, my heart's desire, my purpose in life is to have women be fully empowered and fully expressed. That's different than just any other female entrepreneur group. It's vastly different than just business coaching. The truth is, making money is easy. When you can make money on a pretend trip to Egypt, like that blows me away, right? And that was a full event, by the way, but making money is easy. It's the boundaries that we put around how we make money that make it more challenging, but also a little bit more fun and allow us to be uniquely positioned in the marketplace. When I first started my journey into being an entrepreneur, I guess, I wanted to make money. That's not so hard, right? But I had to make money at home while my kids slept, which, was like nap time. They didn't sleep all day or anything. And without needing to leave the house. Back in the year 2000, like this was more challenging than you might think, certainly more challenging than it would have been today, right? And so when I put those boundaries up, it allowed me, it started to position me, it started to guide how I showed up in the marketplace. Being a business coach, when you have the success that I've created and the success stories of clients that I've created is easy, but the why really sets me apart. I really want to work with the driven creatives. I want to work with women who are up to something, who have a purpose that they want to have fully expressed in the world, right? It's my why that attracts such a diverse group of women entrepreneurs to Women Who Wow, right? We're not industry heavy. We're not, we have people from all different walks of life, races, sexual orientation, religion, political affiliation, right? So what attracts all of that is the why, right? And so the same thing for you. When you have a strong why that is not only really anchored in your soul, but also made visible, which is what we'll talk about next week, but when it's made visible to the public, that's a magnetic thing. People are drawn to that. So, for us, we're not apologetic about wanting to make millions, right? But we also want to do it in a way that allows us to have tremendous impact. So what is your why? Right? So I really would love for you guys to put a comment in if you would like, but even if it's not, I guess, what you know that you're going to land on, or you might want to do some more work on it, like what comes up first for you? What is your actual real why? Like, why are you feel like put on this earth? Like, what is the why that's going to drive your entire business? And this is beyond like some hidden mission statement, right? It's something that should ooze from you, that you get excited to talk about, that really lights you up inside. So while you guys type in like what your why is, I'm going to move on to the practical side, which is the passion side, right? So I'd love to hear more about your why. And certainly you can message me at any time, m.me/Women Who Wow. And you can message me and let me know what comes up for you. But for right now, I'm going to move on. The practical side. So I want to talk a little bit about the questions, and we will recap this and bring it all together for you. But the question regarding the passion, how this shows up in your brand, how this shows up in everything that you do. Let me stop for a second. Lindsay Satterfield says, helping people to harness their own power to contribute their best is one of many ways to say it. Absolutely. So Lindsay does productivity training and coaching, and she's the only person I've ever heard that equates productivity with personal power, and it changes the game when you learn that from her. So yeah, I think that's a great way to really talk about your why you do what you do. So the practical side, key question here: how do you make what lights you up at your core the core of what you offer? How do you make what lights you up at your core the core of what you offer? While we pause on that, I do want to read Tracy. I care deeply about equity for everyone in the world and want to support the people and organizations that are tackling this. Okay, perfect. That's a great why. And it also too is like in the Entrepreneurial Espresso this morning, I talked about how we really owe it to the world, to God, to our fellow man, like to be, to really dive in and go as far as we can and be the best that we can, because that's when we can make the most difference. And so, it's funny when people will talk about, kind of not making money or, not being concerned with that as a way to be like a better contributor to society. But the truth is we can do a lot of good with the money that we make and the influence that we build and the impact that we have. So I really love that your why statement from you. All right, practical side, how do you make what lights you up at your core the core of what you offer? Here's the truth of this matter. I get to write and preach for a living, right? But I didn't do this overnight. Like I did this over years. For people who are new to me, I used to do straight up like business consulting, right? I think I called it business coaching, which is not probably really accurate, but I used to do business consulting and copywriting, and I made a lot of money doing that. But I wasn't fully empowered because I didn't have power over my schedule, and I wasn't fully expressed because I was doing a lot of writing for other people, but my core stuff was being left to the side, right? And so over time, pivoting, tweaking, I now literally get to show up and be myself and do the things that I love, which are writing and speaking, right? And that's literally how I make a living. And so the question for you guys is, and again, don't prejudge this as, well, there's nobody that'll pay me for that, or nobody makes a living doing that. Don't prejudge it. What would you love to do every single day? A lot of times, people don't know when I'm on vacation, unless I mention it or something. Occasionally I'll share pictures or what have you. And there's a practical side to that, right? Like sometimes the kids are at home or my home is unoccupied. You don't want to alert the world that you're gone. But I love what I do. I love what I do every day, right? And even on vacation, I keep my same morning routine. Usually Chris is sleeping anyway. He sleeps in. But I keep my same morning routine. And I still am writing, and I'm still journaling, and I'm still posting, unleashing messages on the internet, right? I still do that because it's who I am, because I'm not living this way Monday through Friday. I'm living this way every day. I'm fully expressed doing this, right? So what would you love to get to do every single day? Here's the thing. If you know one person who's doing what you would love to do every single day and they're making money at it, if one person can, then you can, right? And so I don't want you to discredit what really is lighting you up right now. What would I love to do? What would I love to wake up and get to do every single day? So the second part of that is, which we'll talk about in the coming weeks, is once you have identified and courageously let me know how it is that you want to make a living, what would you love to get up and do every single day, then the next part of that is, how can I make that activity, that daily habit, that daily practice, how can I make it the core of what I offer my people, right? And so for me, I decided I really love to write and speak and preach all day long, right? And so like people call it like prophet church or business church or whatever. And I love it. And so, when I thought about that, I'm like, okay, well, how can I make it the core of what I offer? And I created the Women Who Wow membership, right? And it's like, I get to show up and write and speak and mentor and have real relationships with these women entrepreneurs who are such driven creatives. And it's like, who wouldn't want to do this for a living every day, right? So 2 questions for that is, how do you make what lights you up the core of what you offer, right? So what lights you up and how can you make it the core of what you offer? I want to move on because we'll wrap this up in a little bit. So the third part is personality, the how you do what it is that you do. So Gary Vaynerchuk, I saw him actually on a video, and I love it. My son watches Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan. And I told him that when he figures out like what he wants to do, like, for a living. He's only 16, but when he figures out how he wants to make a living, we'll certainly pay for him to go up and spend a day and a half with Gary Vaynerchuk in one of his little masterminds, because I think he'd get so much from that. But Gary Vaynerchuk said there's a lot of coaches, and he's kind of ranting, right? And he's like, there's a lot of coaches and business programs that'll cheer you on and try to make you feel great, all while you do nothing, make no money, and have no clients, right? And so he was talking about, I think I know which programs he was talking about, but there's a lot of programs and a lot of coaches out there who will tolerate your waiting and your excuses and your do nothingness, right? They will actually try to make you feel good about it. They'll talk about how you want to wait for inspiration. They'll talk about all of this stuff, and it's like, that's not me, right? That's not me. Like, my personality, how I do what I do, is very much brass tacks. I'm intolerant of excuses and waitings and do nothings. I'm unpolished, and I'm real, and I'm raw. I'm unscripted. I'm homegrown, right? The kids would call it backwoods legit, right? That's who I am. And it's funny because I used to think that these things were going to be a hindrance, that these were the things that would slow me down. And in fact, they were the fuel that allowed more people to know who I was, allowed me to be more shareable, more relatable, right? And so for you, how do you do what you do differently? In a world of business coaches who will applaud preparation for freaking a year and a half or whatever, I'm the coach who's like, what are you selling today? How much money are you making, right? How are you having an impact? Don't call them a client if they're not a paying client. I'm the person who's the no BS truth teller. And so honestly, I'll be very honest, that's not an easy sell, because the girls and the accolades and the, what is it called? The, pats on the back, the dopamine hits that a lot of business programs and business coaches offer, that's a much easier sell. And so, how I do it differently, and that's okay. How do you do whatever it is that you do differently? Think about this. Like, is it faster or slower? Is it more intimate? Is it more in a group setting? But also, what's your bedside manner, right? How do you actually do what you do? One of the things that I have yet to be able to capture, and I would have, if I get this picture I'm going to tell you about, you will know it is totally staged and is not actually a candid picture of me on stage. But I want to get a picture of me where I don't look like I'm scowling at the audience, right? And that's I'm intense. I'm intense. All of Gary V's candid pictures, by the way, look like he's scowling, but I'm an intense kind of speaker and coach and personality, I guess. And so it's different, but it is what makes me uniquely me. And so you want to think about these questions. How do you do whatever it is that you do differently? And then how can that be used to your advantage? I used to think that my unpolished, unscripted kind of homegrown thing was going to be a hindrance to me. Like, I had to somehow fancy it up to make it big. And the truth is, like, there were times when I tried to fancy it up, and it never worked for me. The energy wasn't there. It was like a hashtag me too. Like, oh, she does it, me too. She has that kind of site, me too. And it just kind of drained me. And it actually did the opposite of what we're talking about today, which is creating a category of one. The truth is, all the things that, I thought, well, yeah, it's differently, but do I want to call attention to that? Because maybe people don't like that. They were all part of my secret sauce. And the same is going to be true for you. So when you think about that, how do I do what I do differently than anyone else who does it, right? Than anyone who could be possibly fancy themselves a competitor, right? So how do you do what you do very differently? Really quick example that came to mind. So I used to work with a dentist who, the truth is, he's a exquisite dentist. His technical skills, I guess is what you'd call that, is second to none, honestly. I'm probably world class. And we could have marketed that, right? We could have marketed that. But I don't think it would have been as effective as what we did market, which was shame-free dentistry. The truth is, we started with shame-free and pain-free. And it's not the pain that keeps you from going to the dentist. It's the shame, right? It's the shame of why you're not doing this, or you're not using this toothbrush, or are you flossing every day, right? It's the shame. And so when he did shame-free dentistry, people came out of the woodwork and drove for a long way, because you know what? They hated sitting in that chair with plastic in their mouth and hands in their mouth agape, while they're being told what they're not doing right. So the shame-free part is really, that was his secret sauce. And the truth is, he's still exquisite on the technical end, and he does get high dollar cases because of that. But how he gets people in that door is a shame-free dentistry. So I want to recap our questions, okay? So, and then I want you to please message me or put in the comments below what comes up for you with this. So when you're thinking about showing up in a category of one through purpose, which is why you're on this earth, right? What you're here to do, passion, what you really love to do, and personality, how you do what you do. Here are the questions. What is your real why? What is your real why? Unfiltered, don't judge it. How is this made evident to the outside world? How is your why made evident to your market? The third question is, what would you love to do every day? What would you truly love to do every day? What would fulfill you? What would make you feel peaceful and calm and effective and accomplished? And what would you just love to do every day? Fourth question, how can you start? This is not maybe going to be an overnight thing. Although if you're not making any money anyway, like, go for it, right? You have nothing to lose if you're not making any money right now. But if you are, when I first started transitioning over to make what I love to do every day part of, the bulk of what I actually get paid to do every day, it was a pivot, it was a shift here and a shift there as I got there. But how can you make what you love to do the core of what you offer? Hey, Michelle, how do you make it the core of what you offer? And then the fifth question is, how is it that you're doing whatever it is that you do differently than anyone else? Remember, these things might be things that you think are detractors. They might be things that you think are not working in your favor. But I really want you to lay it all out there. How do you do what you do differently than anyone else? Because this is the beginning. It's what your entire brand, all of these 5 questions, it's what your entire brand, your message, your blogging, your videoing, your Instagramming, whatever, your marketing, it's what it will hinge on as we move forward. Those 5 questions. And once you have the answer, you're going to want to make them visible. And we're going to get to that next week. So we're going to start to talk about how to package it to where people know exactly what they get from you, and then how to make it visible so that it is, it runs on its own. It goes out there and speaks on your behalf, that your brand, the essence of who you are in the marketplace, lives on even when you're not like showing up in person or digitally all the time. So that's going to be but it's going to be some fun stuff, and we're going to talk about some brass tacks stuff in marketing. But if you miss these 5 questions, if you're not bold enough to write them down and really stare it in the face and say, you know what, this is the business I'm building. I'm going to trust Michelle on this. She says she can make it monetizable. I'm going to lay all out. I'm going to go all out and go all in on this. Then the rest of the stuff will give you some results, but it'll be more like average results, not like blow me away results. So I really encourage you to spend some time on those 5 questions, write it down. Definitely come to me, message me, m.me/womenwhowow. Or put comments in the comments below, and we will just bob and weave with this all week. So for Women Who Wow members, you do have some pretty amazing resources. So you're going to have your Creating Personality Across Platforms template coming your way this week, and your secret sauce recipe in reverse. That's going to be how to allow your secret sauce to become so evident that you will literally slap your own forehead in shock about how monetizable it is, how amazing it is. And so it's the secret sauce recipe in reverse. So those 2 resources are coming to Women Who Wow members throughout the week. But for everyone, if you would please put a message in the comments below, let me know if it's the replay, let me know what questions you have, what doubts you have. And if you want to message me directly, privately, it's m.me/womenwhowow. Also, yes, that's, can you hear that? That's Sophie snoring. She is right there. Hold on. Oh, she just got woken up. Yes, so I did want to let everybody know that Naked is here. Naked is a 4-week program for you guys to really learn how to show up, take off all the layers of who you are, package it in a way that you will be the go-to person in your market. BeMichellePippin.com/naked. It is a program unlike any other program I've offered. It's like a little bit of a lead-in from the mental toughness program, the Betting on You program, but it is making it fully marketable and monetizable. So excited about that. But you guys stay with me for P School, for Profit School, and I will see you again next week when we have week 2 of Profit School. But I'm here for your questions, so let me know what comes up for you. Talk to you later. Bye.